just being in the sky. Whenever the moon is high and it's a full moon, why do the wolves suddenly howl? Why do the oceans suddenly rise? And then you ask yourself, why do I also get really weird around the full moon as if I'm not made of water as well? I'm sure you have those questions. And if not, maybe you're a pure skeptic. And today I love skeptics. Do you know why? Because they ask questions. They ask questions more than they criticize. They want to know more and want to know more. But those who have the questions, guys, you're so shy of asking. Ask. Today is the perfect time. I mean, I'm discovering a lot of things about myself right now, which is very interesting. And we are joined in studio by humanistic astrologer Tlhodi Ntuli.
Good morning.
You literally look like so Ntsako, my colleague, calls them earth angels.
Yeah.
So she believes that there's some of us that are here, but we also exist in the spiritual realm to protect people. So she calls them earth angels.
That's beautiful.
I know.
That's
she called me an earth angel. I was like, oh, this is romance. So I'm going to call you one of the earth angels.
I love that.
Right? So talk to us about this. You said that this kind of found you easily. What does that mean?
I think I was how my astrology journey started. I think started like most girls or like little girls, where we're like holding our mother's true love magazines and we're kind of at the back of it, just kind of like, oh yeah, I guess my birthday's on the 20th of November. That means I'm a Scorpio. Like, what's that all about? And I think there was a genuine curiosity about what that is and what it's saying about me. And obviously at that point, everything seems accurate and you have your little like, my career, what is it going to be like?
Yeah.
So I think my interest started there. I think then I pivoted obviously into just like life and doing my own thing and growing up. And I worked, while I studied at Wits as a environmental scientist, actually.
Wow.
Got my master's, worked in the corporate. And
Girl.
I just felt like this place is not for me. Like there was a passion to save the world and, climate change, and I still am deeply passionate about it. But I think I was so lost and needed answers, and I don't think anything was giving me the answers I needed.
Yeah.
Therapy was cool, but I felt like it still wasn't giving me what I needed. And I still support therapy. I just think now I'm like, therapy alongside astrology for me works amazingly.
Yeah.
And then after that, I quit my job and I was like, oh, there was this thing I always liked. Like, let me actually study it.
Yeah.
Like, be serious. And I think in about 6 months, I had already like cracked down everything that I needed to know.
Wow.
But it was to know myself better. I had no intentions of being an astrologer at the time. I just needed to figure out what my next moves are going to be. I just quit my job. I don't know what I'm going to do. Have no plan. Like, my life is in disarray at that point. And I was like, I need answers. What is my career supposed to be? Like, what am I supposed to be doing?
Yeah.
What are my talents? What are my limited aspects or blind spots?
Yeah.
All of that kind of stuff. And I think interpreting the chart, I was able to see that a little bit better. So it helped me. And then eventually, like, I have people around me like, oh, help me. And I was like, oh, I guess people want to know this. And so that's kind of how my journey started.
So now do you do like actual readings?
Yeah, that's my job.
Wow.
That is literally my job. So I don't I do readings, I teach as well. Every week I do a lesson. And then I obviously do my content on TikTok as well. Yeah.
So what is the one thing that was kind of difficult to discover about yourself? Because I know that it takes a lot of shadow work before you get to the fun, oh my gosh, when am I going to get married, how much money do I have, and the cinnamon rituals. But there's a little bit of shadow work that needs to happen, and especially that very first one, because obviously it's a regular activity, but that very first shadow work is the most awkward because it's like talking to yourself in the mirror. What is that experience for you?
It was daunting. It's nice to look at all the fun stuff, but to have other aspects that tell you some of, your more shadow aspects, your least likely and traits and your shortcomings, it's not so fun to look at that. But I always say, if you can't accept the good, if you can't accept the bad, it's really difficult to accept the good. Yeah. You have to take the full story with astrology. And I think it's also what makes it accurate as a system. It's not telling you all the good stuff alone. It's going to give you the full picture. You decide which way you want to go. You could, you were telling me you're a Pisces. You could be the best of Pisces traits or the worst of them, which is addictions and escapisms, right? Or you could be an incredible creative and a beautiful healing voice. So you get the, right? Yeah. You get the full spectrum of the picture, but you kind of decide where you want your energy to lean into. And I had to confront even the dark aspects of who I can be. Yes, I can be manipulative. Yes, I can be, someone who is a little insecure, and doesn't see myself very well. But at the same time, it's because isolation is good for me, So there's aspects of myself I had to see and confront and be like, well, it's true too. So that was cool.
Do you think the world is the way that it is because of the lack of shadow work?
100%. I do. I really do. I think we live in a very avoidant society. People are seeing themselves as only material people, and we're equally spiritual as we are material. So our goals as people who are growing in life are very attached to what we can attain, which is fair. Of course, we do live in a very 3D world, but there's a whole other aspect of your livelihood and soul. And that's why when people get money and like get all the success, they still feel like, I'm not happy.
Yeah.
Why is that? And it's a story you hear again and again and again. It's because there's a spiritual void that someone hasn't, contacted. You've succeeded materially, but in the spiritual plane, you're hungry, starving, suffering. And then what do? They relinquish their material stuff and go and be a monk somewhere, or go and do a retreat in, Tibetan mountains somewhere, like that's the typical story. And then they find this like great release. And I'm not saying that's everyone's story. I'm saying balance it out, like balance your material growth with your spiritual growth, so you can be a holistically good person. Yeah.
So what is your relationship with money after kind of the shadow work and astrology, and what did money now become?
A tool. Yeah, money is no longer an extension of my identity, which it was, I would say, before. What I have, what I own says a lot about me, rather than just a tool that you use, to travel, to get yourself to new spaces where you can learn, to meet other people. Money is just a tool. Whether I have it or don't, I'm still me with the same level of value I have always had. So I think, the difference in that was very, very stark. And I'm still working on my relationship and story with money. I think it's an ongoing thing. And I actually found this really cool exercise a couple of weeks ago where it was from, there was some girl on TikTok who actually had put it up on her page. I can't remember what her name is, but she said, write a letter to yourself and be very honest. Say all the things that you like about you, don't like about you, and all that kind of stuff. And then at the end of it, she says, replace your name or how you refer to yourself with money. And that's what will reveal your relationship with money. And I was like, that was very interesting because it was very true with me. Right? So I like kind of finding those sort of exercises that bridge your relationship to money to you, because they go hand in hand.
Yeah. So I want us to take a quick break. When we come back, I want us to kind of look at where we are. Number one, we're on a floating rock, but we don't really understand what this rock is doing, what the water means, the ground means. And, I really sound woo-woo 90% of the time, because I say these things and then, people are just like, oh, okay, well, what are you going on about? So I wanted to kind of hand the baton to you to say, you know what, as someone who is an astrologer, who did study this, who is practicing it on a day-to-day basis, what does all of this mean for us, right? And what can we do to kind of use it? I mean, we're now entering the blood moon in Aries. So what does that mean? What is going to happen in the next 2-3 days for us, especially those who are just like, the eclipse season was weird and now there's another, like, what are we doing? We're not going to even speak about the eclipse season.
No, it's done.
We're just going to ask the universe that never happens again.
I know, it was rough.
That was horrible.
It was rough.
As a Pisces sun, I saw everything and I didn't need to. It is 7:30 Central African time. We'll be right back right here on the Oasis.
Africa, meet Abedi.
Yeah, that's me.
Abedi is a music lover through and through.
I really love African music.
He's got a taste for all kinds of tunes and spends his days listening to Channel Africa. Guess what? He didn't know.
Okay.
Channel Africa wants to help Abedi and all music lovers everywhere to discover even more incredible music. That is why Channel Africa is calling on all African musicians to submit their music. musicians, remember to give us all your relevant information. Make your submissions at music@channelafrica.co.za. Submissions are your chance to be heard on radio. But sadly, they do not guarantee that you'll be playlisted. All submissions will be carefully reviewed to see if they meet our station's requirement. Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Annika Longi sur Channel Africa.
Comment est-ce que les militants et sympathisants du parti Les Transformateurs ont-ils réagi face à la condamnation de Succès Masra?
La condamnation de Succès Masra ne nous a pas surpris et les militants transformateurs ont été bouleversés et indignés étant donné que le verdict est un verdict lourd, illégal, injuste et donc face à la répression dans laquelle le peuple tchadien est confronté, les militants transformateurs se sont résignés de ne pouvoir pas sortir manifester. Et donc, c'est une situation totalement absurde pour un pays. Et aujourd'hui, nous célébrons le 11 août, fête de l'indépendance. On pensait que le verdict allait être plus ou moins clément, mais le verdict est sévère.
Annika Longi, tous les dimanches sur Mix Vibration.
Mornings made better with Peter and Asanda on Rise and Shine, weekdays 6 till 9.
Malawians go to the polls next week in a high-stakes general election where citizens will choose a new president and 229 members of parliament. And this comes 5 years after the country's 2019 election was annulled by the Constitutional Court due to widespread irregularities in a landmark decision that overturned the victory of the then President Peter Mutharika.
I'm not saying we're a perfect government. No, nobody is. I mean, we've seen even South Africa facing challenges with the fuel that's going up and with whatever challenges. But you know what? When you are dealing with an IMF policy that says do not employ so many people because you are going to become a welfare government and all of that. And Dr. Chakwera said I've got high numbers of unemployment. As a government that is answerable to Malawians, we have found IMF policies wanting on many issues. We believe the people who pay us taxes to put us in our positions, we owe them employment at the minimum.
That's Dr. Jesse Kwabila, who's the Minister of Higher Education in Malawi.
Mornings made better with Peter and Asanda on Rise and Shine. Wake up with the Oasis.
7:34 Central African time. We're in studio with Tlhodi Ntuli, who is an astrologer. So there's a TikTok trend. They spoke. I saw it last week Sunday when they were like, first Sunday of the month, what you do is you blow cinnamon into your home. Like obviously today is the first Sunday of October. And then there's this other white lady. She's like, if it looks a little woo woo, do it anyway.
So bad.
I found that so cute, and I was
hilarious.
like,
yeah, it's
yeah,
really cute.
it looks a little woo because now you're standing behind your door and you're just like, you know, because you want abundance that month. And guys, who wouldn't want abundance? How? Like, yes, money is, but do you know how nice it is to be able to say, I'm going overseas next week because of the money.
That's the
So that's a nice thing.
I love it. Yeah.
So we live on a planet, a floating rock with credit scores. We got unlucky with that one. But there's the likes of Mars and Venus and Pluto and Jupiter and Uranus. And we got taught that these planets are just there, right? And I know that the God I serve is more intentional than that. When we look at the stars and how they form beautiful patterns in the evening, some are shining brighter than others on other days. Then the moon takes so many different forms. And we're just like, hey, well, how do you do that? Like, how are you doing that? What do all of these things mean?
I think meaning with planets takes on different tiers, right? So if you're an astronomer, right, you're looking at the planets purely for their mechanical or physical effects. I think how much gas is there, how many moons are there, and what are the more tangible aspects of the planet. If you're an astrologer, you're looking more at the metaphysical aspects of planets, right?
Yeah.
So we've assigned, or people from ancient civilizations where astrology started, which is ages ago, right, in the Babylonian civilization, they then started to assign meaning to planets through their gods, right? Zeus and the like is Jupiter and stuff like that. So from then, meanings were assigned to planets because they studied that when a particular sort of revolution of a planet happens, or when they can see a certain planet from a distance at this time of year, certain things start happening around them. So they observed the relationship between certain celestial events and what was happening on the ground. And when you have years of observation and a lot of data being collected, pretty soon you've collected a whole bunch of information of what certain planets do, right? And over time, they're able to change that or adjust it. And that's how sort of the system of astrology came along. It was the study of what am I seeing happening up there and how can I correlate it to what's happening down here? Yeah. And did it happen again when I saw that up there and the same thing happened that I saw the last time? And if that keeps happening again and again and again, we start seeing the pattern. And I think that's sort of astrology. It's as above, so below, which is one of the universal laws, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's the meaning of planets. You decide what meaning you want to take from it. Is it a gaseous sort of random thing that just lies there, or is there a deeper meaning to it, right? In our solar system? Because I really don't think things are just randomly placed there. What would be the point?
Yeah. And I think also with why would you do that? Like, why would you create something so big for nothing?
And it's beautiful, and yes, we admire it, but
why?
Yeah,
like why?
Yeah,
like
why?
So it's just there. Okay, that doesn't sound like...
And why that distance, and why that size, and why those effects, and why those minerals compared to Earth that has life on it that we know of. There's so many whys, and it's by design. Yeah.
I want to ask a controversial question. In religious texts, do you think that those who held a lot of astrology and earthly secrets and godly secrets tried their best to conceal it from us? Because when I read the Bible now versus then, I'm like, those 3 kings who followed stars, hey? Like,
No, I fully believe that 100%. Especially, I'm going to totally misquote this, but something along the lines of those who have ears that hear and eyes that see. And I think people take whatever the Bible says very literally, and they're allegories, right? A story within a story. So when you read the Bible, which I absolutely love, and I think people think I'm an astrologer, that I'm totally like anti-religion, and I think the Bible is one of the best tools for self-development. Any religious text, I think, if you know how to read it well, which is that it's an allegory. It's not a direct word for word literal type of thing. You need to know how to decode it, and those who have eyes that see and ears that hear, you'll be able to see the meaning behind what's being said. The number 12 comes out a lot. Like, you see repeated I want to say patterns in how the stories are told. Even, kind of looking at the Last Supper, and it's all the star signs lined up in one place. But, people will be like, no, it's a lie, whatever. The Bible says no divination. Rah, rah, rah. And I'm like, well, it depends what you use it for.
Sure.
Right? They were guided by the stars. There were 3 wise men, right? No one said that was evil. So are you using it for dark aspects, or are you using it to be enlightened and to free yourself in some sort of way? So, controversial question, but I agree. I think there's definitely hidden texts and hidden motives. So that it wouldn't land up in people who weren't taking it seriously enough to understand what was written there.
I don't know though. I feel so... Like, it feels like, those people that are standing on the sidewalk with those billboards of like, guys, the end is near, the end is... Like, sometimes it feels like that, right? Because now that you're kind of on the other side of it, I went from being completely, like, against astrology. I was like, wait, what does this even mean? No, it's not true. Things are just literal. And then I kind of went through a bit of an existential crisis. Like that it's not even a tower, it's a tower upside down moment. And you kind of say, okay, God, like, this world feels deeper than what you're presenting to me or what is being presented, right? And I took time to understand what he looks like in different contexts. So I saw the God of Islam, I saw the God of Buddhism, and I was like, who are these people, right? And my worry is that the lack of education that people subject themselves to makes us, I think, more violent.
100%.
I think the violence that happens in the world is because of that. Because at some point I remember mentioning it at the dinner table, and I was like, oh, so now you're gonna convert. It's like, no, I'm educating myself.
Yeah.
And also I'm someone who works with different nations, you know, so I work with people who are Muslim, I work with Jewish people, and with Asian people as well, and everyone believes in different things, you know, and the closest thing that I think would be astrology is the Chinese culture. You know, the way that they view the world is very, very close to astrology. In fact, not even like they're right there, right? Yeah. So it was just interesting that I think the lack of education makes us more violent, right?
It does. And I think, just to add to your point, lack of education leaves you in the dark. And what happens in the dark? You have fear. Right? So especially because with the lack of education, you almost entrust other people outside of you with your livelihood, quite literally, your worldview, your beliefs, and those are the two driving points of the reality you experience, your worldview and your beliefs. Those two things will either have you being poor, rich, happy, sad. It's literally your perspective of the world. So when you entrust other people with those aspects of yourself, you feel a sense of lack of power. And how do you find control? By dominating, which makes you violent, which makes you paranoid and on edge when things don't go the way that you've been told that they go. Rather than going out there and being a seeker, right? Like I always say, even today, what I believe, it could change tomorrow. I am a seeker. Like I'm just here to like move through the world, finding answers and moving from faith to faith if I want to, and belief system to belief system. As I learn, I grow and I share, right? And I've always told the people who like listen to me and follow me, like, you know, you're here because you enjoy the journey. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm here to be like, here are interesting ways to go find yourself a little deeper or see the world in a little bit of a deeper way. So yeah.
What is the most fascinating thing? Because I think everyone just has that one moment where you're like, whoa. What is the most fascinating thing you discovered in this journey?
I suppose that my journey on this plane was somewhat already written for me before I lived it. Yeah. And someone might be like, that sucks in a way. And I'm like, no, it doesn't, because the journey might be written, but the steps I take are completely up to me.
Yeah.
Right? And the everyday of it is completely up to me. But I think it's almost like having a backdrop. Like, this is your assignment.
A mind map.
Yeah. This is your assignment in life. And I think we walk around being extremely confused about our own identities. You know, I wish I had an instruction manual on life. You do. You absolutely do. And you have choice in that. I think people have also brought up the idea like, okay, well, if astrology tells you who you are and what you are, then like, what's the point of free will? I was like, it doesn't remove free will. I think
it adds to it.
It adds to it. In fact, you know, you have more choice now that you know what you're deciding based on, and you're not just floating and endlessly, you know? And yeah, I think that was the most like wow moment. Is I've been so like lost and like stumbling for answers about what's going on and who am I, and I have had insane identity crises. Like I'm a sun in 12th house, which is the house of Pisces. Understanding myself is difficult, right? When you have a sun in 12th house, the ego is hidden. So you know, people come into this world with a very sureness, like I love sports and I'm gonna be an athlete. I didn't have a pull towards anything. So it besides loving and changing the world in some kind of way, but in what ways? How do you want to do it? What's your way of being able to move through the world? And that level of being lostness can, you know, remove you from reality in a very scary way. So I think finding out that like actually there is an assignment, or there is a thing for you to understand yourself, that was really cool.
So I'm really glad that you said that, because I think that's the one thing that spirituality does, and it's so inherently African. You know, the Africanness of astrology and spirituality was so removed and so seamlessly. And you know, my mom said something very interesting yesterday, and she said it in passing, and I don't think she understands the power of what she said. She said, you know, I really wish there were things that we were able to ask our ancestors.
Beautiful.
And I was like, yo, and you can imagine, you thinking, oh, my grandmother, oh, cutesy patootie, went through life. But imagine the secrets that our ancestors sit with. Imagine the secrets that our elders sit with. I mean, these people were astrologers way before us, way before. And worse, they had to really inherently seek this knowledge. With us, at least we have things like TikTok. I can just find you on TikTok and be like, okay, if I want to see where I'm going to find the love of my life, I can just ask you, or I can DM you. They didn't have that. They really had to
sat
seek
there and saw it.
So it's unfortunate that the Africanness of it has been removed. But I think now with generations like you, like Nombuso, like myself, who are saying, no, I'm sorry, it will look woo-woo and allow us to do that, but we're doing a generational reset,
100%.
So that our kids can kind of be raised in this home that is woo-woo, but comfortably so.
And I want to say, like, most of us, our generation or so, we likely have a Pluto in Scorpio or a Pluto in Sagittarius, and those are the signs of truth, the generations of truth, right? So if you see us like, being all woo-woo and being a little bit more expansive on our sense of beliefs and what is true of the world and what is not, we were destined to be the generation that changed things, right? Oof. And that saw the world in a different light. And astrology tells us that. Yeah. Generations before had to cultivate, civilizations and build buildings and focus on money and all of that kind of stuff. But all of that is kind of crumbling as well, right? How we view money. It's just we've hit the ceiling in just certain things. So it's our duty, so people who are still skeptical, really happy for you. And one day you'll cross over.
Oh, no. We were all there. Don't worry. We were all there. Yeah. And then there's that one moment. Yeah. Or that one tower moment in your life where you're just like, there has to be more than this.
The towers are 16, hey. Yeah, it is. It is. That I know for sure. Anyway.
So, we're going to get to a really fun part. Nombuso asked me very nicely. It is a very, I don't want to say sensitive because then it kind of removes. But it's a very, intimate thing, reading your birth charts on air. But you know what? We're comfortable.
Are you sure?
Why are you saying that?
I'm just asking how comfortable you are. I'm happy to do it, but I'll lay off just things that might be a little too intense.
Okay.
Or start off if you're like, no, there's a lot. Just let me know.
The thing is, I'm really an open book.
Okay, great. That's
I own my truth. Dude, you can't tell me about my shadow. I know it. Okay. I know what's there. I know when you said addictions is, I was like, yes, Pisces, groovists. Yeah, we're the biggest groovists because we have to run from something. So no, I'm comfortable with that. But we're gonna take a short break. I'm gonna give it to you so that you have a moment, and I'll be like, you know what? Let's lay the cards out there. 7:49 Central African time. This is the Oasis.
Zilipendwa na Abedi Jean de la Croix.
Kabla ya kwenda mbali zaidi, tuanze kwanza kwenye background yako, maana kila kazi, kila jambo linakuwa na historia yake. Riziki Alema ni nani?
Riziki Alema ni mwimbaji wa nyimbo za Injili, ni mama na ni mke pia.
Umesema wewe ni mama wa familia pia. Vipi unagawa muda wako namna gani kwenye masuala ya muziki na majukumu ya familia?
Okay, cha kwanza sio jambo rahisi, lakini anaweza sema upande mwingine ni rahisi kama utakuwa umejitambua. Kwa sababu mbaya ni ile kuchukua masuala ya masaa ya kazi na masaa ya familia na masaa ya huduma. Kwa hivyo ni vizuri tu mimi huwa natenganisha. Nikiwa ndani sio Riziki Alema, sio mwimbaji. Nikiwa ndani najua mimi ni mke na ni mama pia.
Zilipendwa kila Jumamosi kuanzia saa 12 kamili majira ya Afrika ya Kati hadi saa 1 kamili majira ya Afrika ya Kati.
Let the weekend unfold with calm, clarity, and connection. On the Oasis with Ntsako Mhlanga, your peaceful companion. Only on Channel Africa.
7:50 Central African time. We are with Tlhodi Ntuli, who is an astrologer, and she has my birth chart, yo. And why does she have that look on her face?
I'm like,
Okay, you know what? I really am an open book, and I wouldn't want to deprive people of this experience because maybe they want the same. I don't want us to be light with it. Go ahead. This is my truth. Let's rock.
Sure. So, first things first, I like to focus on the sun, moon, and rising because I think those are the traits that people know most.
Yeah.
So you have a sun in 10th house, which is our space of career, success, what we're celebrated most for in society, which is our 10th house. Mm-hmm. And having a sun there makes you quite career oriented from an identity perspective. You want to do well. And in Pisces, it's a creative career or a healing career. So people who have Pisces suns in 10th houses are either artists or going to be healers, very much doing the spiritual thing full on, musicians, very creative individuals, or people who just want to heal in some kind of way. I've seen doctors with this because whether you're doing it mechanically or through physics or not, the modality is to heal and inspire and change, right? So that's a Pisces sun. And it is making a beautiful aspect trying to Mars in your 6th house of Scorpio. You're extremely determined, crazy, and it's in your house of work, of service, and of work, health, and health. So what a Mars in Scorpio, and Mars is currently in Scorpio as we speak, so I know you're feeling super amped. Yeah. So what a Mars in Scorpio does is one of the most determined signs, right? A Mars in Scorpio, if they have a target to reach something, there's nothing you're gonna do in this world that's gonna stop them. Nothing. It's one of the most determined signs. So I think that being linked to your sun, you're extremely determined in your place of work. Climbing up whatever career path that you have set for yourself, no one's going to stop you. Your goals are ambitious, your dreams are very ambitious, and I think you're going to do whatever it takes to kind of get there, which kind of comes through in your chart. Now let's talk about relationships, because I don't want to spend too much time on the smaller details, but you have something we call Chiron in the 7th house. Chiron is not a planet, it's an asteroid, and it's called the wounded healer. So having it in your 7th house and Pluto right next to Pluto. So you have Chiron and Pluto conjunct, meaning they're sitting within 6 degrees of each other. Makes relationships really difficult.
Hey, girl.
Really, really difficult. It's almost like your wounding comes through relationships. Some of the biggest tests you faced in life are through relationships. You're even questioning your own self-value comes through relationships. So I think that's the biggest test of your life. Career is going to be great. Money, great. Right? It's the love space where you're I don't know what's going on here and who is my person and when am I going to find them? And I think we were talking about Jupiter then telling us more information since your 7th house is in, Sagittarius, and your Jupiter sits in Aries in the 11th house. When you've reached your highest dreams and aspirations, because the 11th is our goals, dreams, and aspirations. So once you've gotten to the point where you're really, really happy with who you are and what you've achieved, it's going to be so much easier, and you're going to be in the rooms that allow you to meet your person, right? So because 11th house is the pinnacles of achievement, now that you're getting rewarded for all the work that you put in. So it's almost I kind of have to look at me and what I want to do and get there, and then I will be in the space now where the person who's good enough and understands me and what I'm trying to achieve and do will meet each other, will find each other. So that's there as well, and it's right on top of your midhaven. So 100%, it's almost like your career ambitions need to come first, and then you'll meet them. Any other questions before I continue?
Go for it.
No questions.
On the nose.
So career-wise, so you have your midhaven conjunct Mercury with Jupiter and Venus. This girl's career is crazy. So it's in the 11th house, which is the house of media, journalism, broadcasting, social media as well. The ability, and the 11th house is about speaking to a mass number of people. So nothing you do, it's how do we use our impact and voice to impact society on a great scale? Hence it rules over media and communication. So having all these planets there, your mind, your way of speaking is to get your message through to many people at once. So it's I'm not shook that this is what you do. It's so crazy with that. And I don't think you're gonna ever experience difficulty via career, because it's right there conjunct Jupiter, which is a benefic planet. It's to expand, it's abundance, right? The only thing is that your Venus is in Aries, which is Venus does not like being in Aries, right? It's what we call a planet in its detriment. So it can make you very impulsive. So even as you consider your growth and your long-term growth career-wise, not one to be too power hungry, that it you lose meaning in what you were doing, why you started out first of all, because you started getting power hungry, but to stay the course even when you get bored sometimes. Right, like there can be a sense of like, oh man, like the idea was sick, I'm over it though, let's move on to something else. So to be able to sort of stay the course there as well. Cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's weird that I want to do this with my children one day, like literally, but when they say, oh, I want to be a princess, no, bring me your birth chart. All right. That is sensational. That makes so much sense. Yeah, everything makes sense. Career-wise, yeah. I'm dangerously ambitious.
You have a really I want to say you respect your father's work ethic quite a lot.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, it makes sense. Okay,
yes,
cool.
I do. Yeah.
Quite an inspirational person in your like workspace.
Yeah.
With the sun in 10th house.
Yeah, he was actually at SABC.
Makes sense.
For like 15 years before, and then he went into government and then worked in education. So I'm here at SABC now, and I have a learning center. So I literally kind of not mirrored, but kind of expanded what he had already planted. He planted a lot of seeds in my life.
Beautiful.
And yeah, the healing part, yes, I work with kids. We help them with their schoolwork and all of that. So, and even just like when I speak, like for me, I would just find myself like kind of doing that. So I think what you said kind of put the permanent marker on such things. Hey, relationships, girl.
That part.
Yes, in there. Guys, if I were to tell you, like that department, I've completely said, you know what? I'm going to leave you for now. Let's focus on what's important, which is the work and the ambitions. And I appreciate that. But I wish more people had that. Imagine having that younger. You already know that this is the career that you, like, dude, you're in. Yeah. Like that's such a beautiful thing. I would highly recommend people getting their birth chart read. In fact, know your birth chart. I didn't even know all the other stuff, but the fact that it's in media, I'm like, okay, in social media, let me get my vlog on, girl.
No, please do. When you have a Leo North Node, like in 3rd house, it's crazy how your voice is like supposed to be loud and heard, and your thoughts are supposed to be loud and heard, and not only because it's influential, because it impacts people so positively. Like, it's crazy. Your chart is insane. Like, I'm so jealous. I'm so jealous. But yeah, no, it's beautiful.
Thank you, darling.
I mean, apart from the relationship stuff, but that'll come out.
Don't worry about it. Yeah, as long as the success is important,
exactly.
Guys. Where can we find you? I feel like I'm low-key gonna hijack you for my family, because I feel like everyone just needs to sit down and read their birth chart so that you know exactly what you should be doing, right?
100%. So I'm on Instagram and TikTok as Tlhodi Ntuli, one word, no extra characters. TLHODI. No, it's kind of confusing spelling, but yeah, that's about it. And I have my email address on my bios if you need direct access, but that's kind of where I live socially.
That's amazing stuff. And I'm really hoping that people take this opportunity, because that was sensational. Because you have no idea. Right now I'm like, okay, cool, I need to plan the vlog for the next week. I'm traveling, like, why not? You know, let's elevate the voice that already exists, that supports you.
Absolutely.
Amazing stuff. It is 8 a.m. Central African time. I know that Matapele is on standby to give us the news. On social media, we are at Channel Africa 1. It's time for news.